Hey YouTube land, Tyco and Hotwheels here doing another action figure review. Now this is another retro action figure review, and just before I proceed I just need to say that these reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13, 13 years old, just to comply with the FDA and the couple rules. So what I have here is a retro review of some of the Crash dummies, ATVs and go karts. And I also included a few of the more modern things like the ski mobile and the golf cart. So it's a selection of both old and new. But before I get on to any of that, I actually have, on the rare occasion, I actually still have a box for one of these. So let me just move things out of the way, and I will showcase the box. So this is one of the original Tyco Crash dummy racings. Don't you be a don't you be a dummy, buckle your safety belt box. And this is for the race cart. As you can see, it shows a picture of the vehicle on the front. Let me just close the box. The box isn't in the best of conditions, so you have multiple languages. So it has features: breakaway rear tires, which actually isn't true, front impact bumpers, front flip action handlebars, roll bar flies off, and rear mud flaps fly off. It's interesting, it says breakaway rear tires when it's actually the front tires come off it, not the rear ones. Now this was a reuse of the original Crash Dummy Kart, which I'll show as well together. So flipping around the back of the box, you have it's Crash Racing, Crash Team Racing. The vehicles are hotter, driving is faster, and even the crashes are more awesome than ever, is the little blurb for it. And then you have other vehicles that were in the wave, which was the Jackknife Racer, which is the first Crash Team Racing vehicle that I ever had. The Off-Road Racer, which I have bits of. I don't have a complete one, but I have it here. The Stock Car Race, or the Stock Car, which is the one I reviewed before, and I actually have the box for this one. And this one, which is the Crash Plane, which is the one that I really need to complete. I have an incomplete one, and it's broken, and I'd love to get a complete version of it. It's one of the rarest items from the Crash Dummy line, as is this. This is one of the ones that were released in 1994, just at the end of the line. So they weren't released in great numbers. They were limited in the releases. So I would love to get a complete version of the Crash Plane. So here you have an image of what happens to this thing. If you have the Crash ATV, then you know exactly what it does. The only addition is you have an extra spoiler and this front piece. The driver here is actually Axel, which is interesting enough because these ones didn't come with drivers, and Axel, as far as I'm aware, was never actually released. There's only prototype images of him, which is here. And what's also interesting is the original two versions of Axel version 1 and version 2, actually had glasses on the dummy head just to make him a bit more unique. Whereas in the race team ones, he seems to have omitted the glasses. So it is interesting that he is slightly different to the original one. So if I just flip back around the box, and I will bring in the Crash Team race cart. So basically, as I said, it is a reuse of the standard go-kart with just extra added additional parts. So you have if I just grab them, because I actually have two of these, but one of them is incomplete. So basically all they did was they gave it this piece, and they gave it this piece. So you had basically a kind of racing car version of a go-kart. So as I said, I do have another one of this race cart. The only thing is I'll showcase what's missing with it with one of these. So basically the idea behind these ones is you hit the button or you hit the front bumper, front wheels come off, as opposed to what it says on the box, rear tires. That's actually the front tires. the engine block comes out, and that was on the basic one. My my actual second one of the race team one is missing. If you look here on the tires, the actual front tires on this one is actually different to the standard go-kart. They're a bigger tire, but mine is actually missing this plug that plugs into the back of the tire that holds it in place, which is annoying. I thought it was complete, but it actually is missing that one piece. So you just reassemble it, and put the dummy back together, whose torso has come apart, and to get his head back on. Actually, I don't think his head is on, because I don't think the body went back. Oh yeah, he's one of the ones, his legs split in half as well, and his arms come off. This is one of the modern dummies. It's can't remember what name he has. I'll have to go through all the names on these guys, just remind myself what names they have. Some of them have names, some of them are just kind of generic dummies. The ones that came with the modern cars, or like the more recent line cars, I'll just leave them in the bits over here in the corner, actually just didn't have names. They were basically, do I have one of them handy? I don't, unfortunately. I thought I had one to hand, but I don't. Oh, actually, yeah, he's this guy. They basically just did this, where the head would pop up. As far as I know, I think this guy came with one of the cars. I'm not sure which one though. So, for this version, same thing. Engine block comes off. There's just an extra piece to it. The dummy should sit back in. Wheels come off, and as I said, what's missing on the other one is this peg, which is really annoying. I was hoping I might have a spare one, but I don't. Then, for the other Crash racing team vehicle I have is this, which is the ATV. I think it was called the Off-Road Racer, if I remember correctly. And the main difference, other than the colours between this and the standard one, is this one's missing quite a lot of bits. In fact, if I just... Do I have one on the back of the box? Yes, it is on the back of the box. The Off-Road Racer, you can see here. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but there's a big cowling piece that fits over this. The standard Racer only has a single set of wheels. It doesn't have this double wheel setup, or the normal ATV has this, doesn't have the double setup, and it also is supposed to have a piece that clips over this, and then when you hit this, the wheels flies off. This bar is supposed to come up and hit the crash dummy. This comes forward, so the front piece flies off, and basically it connects back together then again. You see this big wheel section is on a double wheel, whereas the normal one is just a standard one. So when you push this all back together, it all lines up, and you can do it again. This is also missing stickers. There should be stickers here on the front, but my one doesn't have that. So you can see there's a sticker down here at the front. I don't think that's supposed to be there. I think there's supposed to be different stickers, and there's other stickers that go on it itself. Now for the other thing I should mention as well, this is JR. He was an exclusive dummy that came packed with the first version of the ATV, or sorry, not the ATV, the go-kart. I won't use him to demonstrate stuff because he's quite fragile and he's quite old, but he was originally packed with this white and blue version of the go-kart, but then later releases they just released the vehicles on their own. So there is versions of the box that will say includes JR if you're looking for boxed ones, and then there's ones that just replace the crash dummy on the box with, I think, one of the ones in the Protex suit, and it usually was the Daryl figure. So you have that. And then for modern vehicles, here is an ATV. This is the modern version of the ATV, very similar in what it does. Front piece comes off, ejection seat, and the whole back wheels come apart. So they had very similar functions to the originals. You just plug everything back into place. The only thing is the plastic on these feel a little bit more sturdy than the originals. The originals were great, but the plastic that they made them from seemed to be a little bit flimsy. So you have that, and then the other one I have, it isn't complete. It is incomplete. I'll show where it is incomplete. Is this Crash Test ski mobile, which is actually a really cool vehicle. So it should have a second one of these panels, so when it hits this, the seat ejects up. Not great, but it does. These back wheels or back treads come off, and as you say, this panel on the side is supposed to pop out. And if I reset everything again and just do it without the crash dummy on it, as I said, there should be one on either side. It just pops off. It would have been nicer if this popped up a bit better. It doesn't look like you could launch them very far if they were holding the handlebars. So it is a bit of a shame. Even if he's not holding the handlebars, he doesn't go that far forward and he just falls off. So there are some cool smaller vehicles, but these are the only ones that I have. And then the last thing that I will bring in, which is technically an ATV as well, is this golf cart, which is really cool. Again, Spare Tire is going to demonstrate this one for us. So it looks like a sort of Hummer looking thing. So when you press this, it all falls apart. The wheels don't come off this one, but it has a great ejection system on it. So you have this front piece with the steering wheel. You have this engine block, actually front piece and the engine block should go in together at the same time. The seat is really good. You can see on the other side here is where the seatbelt plugs into if you want to give them that extra bit of protection. And then you have the golf bag at the back with the golf. Now there should have been golf sticks with it. I only have one of the golf sticks and I can't remember where it's gone. So unfortunately I do not know how many were supposed to come with it. I think you got 2, one for each bag. So if we just get good old Spare Tire in here without him falling apart. He's quite loose, unfortunately. Well, this version of him is. I have a second version, but this one's quite a loose version. Sorry. So here he is demonstrating this from the front. So it has quite a good explosive feature compared to the other ones. The spring on the seat is a lot better. Would have been cooler if the seats on the ski mobile and the ATV did this kind of complete spring part. So it would have been cool. So there you go. I'm just leaving in bits in the corner, as you do. So all in all, it's a really cool figure set. Oh, sorry, it's a really cool little golf cart. The crash carts and the go karts, the ATVs, and the kind of smaller vehicles are all really good. They were quite a good little price point as well. They used to be a good bit cheaper than the cars, and if you couldn't afford the cars, you could afford something like a slightly cheaper alternative, which caused just as much chaos and destruction to the crash dummies as anything else. So all in all, really good. Things to watch out for is as I said, the wheels are missing on, wheels can be missing on the ATVs. The wheels can be missing on the ATVs. Components on the modern ones can be missing, as like the panels. As I said in the previous video, the panel on my modern style motorbike is missing, and even a lot of the parts on this one are missing. So just things to watch out for. Overall, they generally don't tend to be missing too many parts. But again, in regards to the ATV and the vintage version of the go-kart and the other ATV, there is another ATV which is yellow. It also came with a exclusive figure as well, which I'll mention in the figures when I get around to the figures, because I do have the figure, I just don't have the vehicle. but there is a few that came with exclusive figures, and just to keep an eye out for those. If you're looking for mint and box stuff, it's always handy to keep an eye out for those. So hope you enjoyed this video review. I hope I didn't waffle on too much. As I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Cheers guys.